I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, or should I say hola, because tonight we are in Mexicali talking about Mexico, tacos, food, and a lot of Bella drama. I am Leslie Colon, joined by my amazing panel, of course, the total diva, the total Bella, Mr. Ollie Drennan.
Hey, excited to be back. Can't wait to talk and drink some wine with y'all tonight.
Yes, I love it. And she loves women's wrestling and is always with us talking about women's wrestling, Miss Emily Mae.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. It's Friday night. We're talking about the Bella twins. We got our wine. I got my cookie here. I'm awesome.
Good. As you can see, we are all so excited to talk about this episode. There's definitely highs and lows. So, Ollie, I want to know your overall thoughts on tonight's episode.
Oh my gosh. Well, you have to give the girls credit for actually going back. Not only are they reconnecting with their father, they're reconnecting with their roots. You know, this is something that they aren't too familiar with. I mean, the Bellas, they're not bilingual like me. So I totally relate to Nikki and Brie in this episode because I'm Mexican myself. So that's me. Like, if I were to go there, I'm doing exactly the same things that they're doing because I'm not bilingual by any means, but I'm trying, Leslie. So it's definitely inspiring. And so I feel like a lot of people maybe who are in a similar boat can kind of see this episode and kind of relate to the Bellas more than they already have. So I definitely enjoyed it. I love that there was fights, resolutions, but yeah, I'm so excited to talk about it.
Well, don't worry about that. You're going to always have me to go with you to Mexico to, translate for you, show you what
road trip. You have to. We're going to have a road trip.
Yes, okay. Exactly.
Okay, but I can't wait.
I know. I'm just really glad that they went over there, got in touch with their roots, ate some good food. So, Emily, what were your overall thoughts about this?
I love this. I feel like this was one of those episodes that was super relatable. And especially if you come from where your family might come from a place that you haven't really been in tune with, that a side of your family, whether you're Italian, whether you're Korean, like maybe there is some type of cultural significance that's a part of your life, but that you never explored. And so I love that they really dove deep into this and like they were honest about it. They're like, we don't really know much about our lives in that way, and they had to connect with their father in order and his new family to do that. And so that caused a rift. And again, we'll dive into it, but I like how they just kept it really real in this episode, and it got really emotional.
Oh, yes. Emotional for sure. So let's go ahead and dive into this because there's so much to talk about. And let's begin with this little meditation session. We have Mama Bella, JJ, and the twins go to this. I don't know what is it? Do you guys know the name of this type of meditation? I definitely did not.
It looked like they were just chilling in a hammock.
Yeah, it was kind of like a spa, all-inclusive. Like there was dance, like I don't know. I'm not sure what you call it.
Me either, but there was definitely a bar there, so JJ was enjoying that part.
I feel like every place they go has to have a bar.
I know, but it's weird to definitely see the fact that it's like a meditation center, and then you have your bar right there for anyone who needs, that meditation with their alcohol. But Emily, yep, I get it. Emily, I want to know your thoughts on, the Bella's idea to get the family together and kind of have a little bit of peace after this big fight and kind of, letting everything go.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important they do that together. I like how they are showing that they're all coming together, even when they do fight, even when things are there's tension and things are kind of on the fritz or on the edge. I think it's important that you need to find time with your family to kind of try to have some conflict resolution. And this was kind of a fun way to show it. There's drinking, there's some, spinning and fun meditation. And, I think this is like the way the Bellas would do it. I wouldn't see any other way.
Yeah. Ollie, do you get JJ and him not really feeling this vibe and definitely leaving and just going to the bar instead?
Dude, that's so me. JJ, like for real. Shout out to him. That's me. I can't meditate. It's not meditation. I'm sure it's like so positive and great for people that it works for. If it works for you, that's great. But I feel like he's just the type of person similar to me where you just can't really sit still. Maybe you have something on your mind. Maybe you just want to connect with people. Maybe that's what helps you. And I feel like it was great that they did try this, but I feel like the family, it went to go and show that like the family still needs to talk about things,
Oh,
which they did at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
But it also just goes to show how different he is from his sisters. He's not a twin, you know, they're not the triplets, but
Yeah.
he's really different. And it's
Oh.
not only is he different than his sisters, but he's handling the situation with his father completely differently.
Yes.
So everything just makes sense of how he how he took the meditation.
Yeah, I think you're right, Ollie, that really there's not going to be like an all-inclusive way for them to be able to do something fun like this. It's going to be more catered towards Nikki and Brie, and so I could see how, you know, being a guy, he's like, all right, I'm out, I'm going to the bar.
Yeah, for sure.
Same.
I just thought it was hilarious how he was laughing the whole time and didn't really even try to attempt it. I think he just went in with the mindset like, this doesn't work for me. I'm not this type of guy. But hey, I know, props to anyone who does meditation, who does this for a living. I'm sure it really helps. You're really helping people. But there's also people like JJ who don't take this seriously and would rather have a drink instead to calm himself down and really let everything go. But as you guys said, there's really not a lot of letting go. We see dinner with the family where it was just mostly the twins speaking with their mom again about this issue about their dad, and we kind of see them sneak in their little plan. Emily, were you surprised by Mama Bella's reaction and how she was kind of like, you guys are just tricking me, not really telling me what you're doing, and you're just using this as an excuse to go to Brawley?
I had so many mixed feelings about all kind of the tactics that Brie and Nikki used throughout this episode, but also of Mama Bella's reaction, because I feel like she was super overreacting to a lot of the stuff in this episode. And I think it's just started from the beginning. It started from this initial conversation of like, hey, we're gonna go on this trip. And it should have been a good bonding experience for them. And I feel like there was a lot of hidden like feelings not talked about, and I think it started at this dinner or at this conversation. Yeah.
All the hidden agendas that they're just all these hidden agendas trying to like include everyone.
Like being like, sneaky.
So you guys do think they were being sneaky?
A little bit. Like they wanted to include, make sure Mama Bella wasn't left out, but at the same time, you know, they left Mama Bella with Birdie, so obviously that pissed her off. And then obviously Mama's still not okay with the father and whatnot. And so there's just a lot of like open wounds and, like I said, a lot of agendas that is just conflicting with her. But I do agree with Emily. Like I feel like she was a little like, especially by the end, like when they were talking. I was like, damn, Mama Bella.
It was it was like right away this conversation was like at a 10, and then she like kept going up. It's like she like Mama Bella needs to like go through her own therapy and her own thing, because I feel like they're never going to be able to have a conversation about this ever. And the thing is, they're both grandparents, like they both have kids, you know, more grandkids coming on the way, so you can't, you're going to have to be in the same room eventually. You know, so I don't know, I just felt like it escalated so quickly and like escalated all the time when Mama Bella talks about this issue. So
I have to defend the girls a little bit. I think the reason why they were kind of going around the whole situation is because Brie has mentioned a million times, Nikki as well. Nikki is so scared of her mom, especially talking about this whole topic. You can tell Nikki is very involved, very opinionated. She's always, you know, giving her opinion and talking to everyone in her family. But this time around, you can tell this topic she resists. She doesn't want to give her opinion because she doesn't want to hurt her mom, and she's scared of that reaction because, like Brie said, we don't talk about this topic. We don't talk about our relationship with our dad because it creates a fight, and it really did. So that's why you see, I think this just started this whole new healing process for Mama Bella and bringing up all these emotions. I think it really all started with the book and reading the girl's perspective and how much, I think in a way she feels like she failed as a mother during their childhood because she wasn't able to get out. So it's definitely another episode where I feel like we're all kind of stuck in like, oh, yes, we defend the girls, but we understand Mama Bella. Like there's so many different perspectives that it's hard to understand and everyone come together because it's a serious topic. It's a realistic topic. We all, well, I've been through that whole situation. I don't know if you guys have similar experiences, but you can really relate to this whole topic. So it's sensitive. I can totally connect with them. But I do feel like Mama Bella confessed that she hasn't really dealt with the situation and she hasn't healed. And it's surprising to me because she's already in a new marriage. She's in a happy marriage. Everyone seems like they've settled, but it's obviously something that still hurts her and they haven't really coped with it. So I think we're still going to dive into that a little bit more. I think they, like Ollie, you mentioned, or Emily as well, they need a therapy session, all of them together, just her by herself, because even it's affecting Nikki in the sense that she can't commit to her relationships. It's affecting Brie in the fact that she feels stuck because, Brie calls Johnny Papa, but she also has her real grandpa, who's her dad. So it's like you're kind of stuck in the middle, and then JJ wants nothing to do with it. So it's like, who do you side with? Who do you believe more? So for those of you in the chat, thank you so much for being with us. Let us know your opinion. Let us know who you connect with more. Let us know whose perspective you understand, because we're obviously all kind of stuck. We're just outsiders giving our opinion and really kind of diving into everyone's lives, but it's definitely a serious topic. So let's go ahead and move into this trip. We obviously know that they're going to go back to their childhood, where they grew up. So were you surprised, Emily, to see how they weren't really connected, or they hadn't really gone back to Brawley since, going big, getting fame, and pretty much connecting with their roots? They hadn't done that. So they definitely did that in this episode. So were you surprised how they really haven't been with you or gone back or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a little surprising. I would have thought that they would have gone, because you hear about those stories of people going back and giving back to their communities and doing a big, reunion or doing something like that. And so I am surprised that they haven't gone back to kind of reconnect with people. But I liked that they did it. I think they had to do this in order to go visit their dad. I feel like this was like the perfect moment to do that. But I like that they did it, I think, but I was surprised that they hadn't gone back earlier, because it's been so long, and, Brie started a family and stuff like that. So you would think that she would want her kids to know where she grew up. So I thought it would have happened sooner, but I'm glad it happened now.
Yeah, for sure. Ollie, were you surprised to see their old babysitter and how they reconnected with her? And it was really a moment for them to be like, whoa, we haven't really came back and acknowledged people who we grew up with.
I know. Did they give the babysitter heads up that there was a bunch of cameras coming in with the Bella?
Why would she just happen to be there across the street?
I was did they contact her?
That's when you kind of know, something.
What was her name?
Her name was Rona or something. I was like, oh, Corona? No. No, but it was sweet. I mean, maybe if it was produced by any means, it's reality television. It happens all the time. It was sweet. I know she was definitely feeling Artem when she saw Artem. She's like, oh yeah. I was like, same. But it was sweet. It's really cool as a fan. Obviously, you grew up and watched them, and Bella when they first debuted on SmackDown, and then just see them how they evolved, and then just to know oh wow, this is their babysitter when they were yay high. So it was sweet despite the possible produceness of it all. But yeah, just seeing that, it made me want to really kind of learn even more about their story and want to read this damn book when it comes out in May.
I know.
But yeah, it's really cool. In a nutshell, it's really cool getting to know the people that you watch growing up and where their origins lie.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I found it interesting that the mom recognized her right away. Mama Bella did. I was like, how? It's been how long?
Right.
Unless she just same house, who knows?
That's true. Unless it's the same house, that's true. And I guess you never forget a face that is taking care of your kids. So
yeah, maybe she looks exactly the same.
Some people age well.
That's true.
Right. Some people, it could be 20 minutes. It could be 20 minutes. It could be 20 years, and someone could look exactly. It's crazy.
That's true.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
Crazy.
I know. Well, speaking of Artem, I know this is your favorite topic now, Ollie. So I want to go to you. What did you think about this whole meeting Nana for the first time, and Nana has some strict rules about marriage and relationships that we did not expect. I think it's crazy also because we've seen so many relationships, and it's already season like 4 or 5 of Total Bellas. So you would think that we would know this, especially with the whole relationship with John Cena and then Brie. But
so is this the first time it came out?
Yeah, this has never come up.
Okay.
So I'm like, why all of a sudden with Artem she wants to be strict? Or give me your thoughts on this. Drink your Bella Radici.
I think, I guess because John Cena is such a household name, everyone knows who John Cena is. They idolize him. Yes, that, the third. Artem's new, and Nikki was with John for a while. But also, Nana, you're kind of old school. I'm like, geez, like not even in the same bed when they're not married. Like, what is that? Like, we're not staying here tonight. I felt bad for Artem. He didn't know Artem is the MVP of this season so far. Let me tell you, because he is game for anything. That's why he's the MVP. I'm Team Artem, but he's just like going through ever for the Bella, well, Nikki. But he's always game. He's so supportive. But yeah, it was really interesting how they were just, being very traditional and old school, which I have my own values that are completely different. But I mean, to each their own, got to respect your elders.
Yeah.
As long as they respect you.
Yeah. I mean, I loved your point that Artem was totally down for anything throughout this whole episode. He's super chill and super down to earth and is like, all right, I'll just roll with it. Like rolling with the punches, not letting anything really bother him, and just like down for the adventure. So I love that aspect of him. And even in this, he was like making jokes that like his mom's the same, or his grandma's the same way. It's like you have to have someone, his mom, you have to have someone that can like make it funny and like kind of ease tension in a in an awkward situation.
It just rolls with the punches.
I have to agree with Ollie. I think it's more of a respect factor because they always talk about their grandparents and how much they grew up with him and everything that they did for the Bellas and JJ growing up. So I think it's more of that respect factor and how, we have to listen to Nana because, she did so much for us. So we kind of have to deal with it. But again, I was really happy the fact that Artem just went along with it and was like, okay, didn't make a big deal about it. And everything went smoothly. But Emily, have you ever gone back to where your childhood home and, thinking of those memories? And how did you feel looking at the Bellas, the fact that they did that and kind of the memories that were brought up?
Yeah, I mean, I have a house that I remember vividly, like in my first like 6 years of growing up, that like I've driven past and visited before, and then I have my house that has been from like 6 or 7 from when my parents got divorced to now. I've had multiple houses, so like, but I remember those all vividly, and I still pass by some of them to this day, just saying, oh, I lived on that street kind of thing. So I feel like it's emotional. I feel like every place has a memory or memories that are attached to it, good, bad. And so I feel like for anyone to go visit their childhood home brings up stuff. Yeah. And I think it was part of the closure that they're trying to find in the relationship with their dad was to go visit this house. Yeah. And so I think it was important for them to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So now let's move on to the fun part. So, Mama Bella stays back, Birdie stays back as well, which is interesting. I'm surprised they didn't decide to take Birdie with them and for her to meet, her grandpa. But let's go into Mexicali. The Bellas are without borders tonight, and they cross to the other side. But I want to know your overall thoughts on like kind of the house, the little situation, meeting the whole family, and the new wife that the dad has.
Okay, I just want to know, is the new wife's boobs, are her boobs real or not? I was like,
I don't know.
No, but like the boobs are a very essential topic in the Bellas, like that's for sure.
Totally, it's all about it.
It's shout out to Nikki and Brie, because this is a lot to process. Not only going to the house, but meeting the entire family. Granted, they may have met like I forget, was it the daughter they met before?
The Yeah.
So they have somewhat of an idea, but it's still obviously with the cameras. I doubt the cameras were there. The Pellas have the time to do this finally. So it's just a lot to process for everyone. So it's interesting to see like the family and how they're kind of like, they're very quiet. And I think it's probably because the cameras are there and there's like obviously people, producers and whatnot. But yeah, I'm glad that it wasn't as, because last week I was nervous. I was nervous going into this episode. I was like, oh God, I hope everything comes out, everything's smooth sailing. And it was, but obviously the Bellas are dealing with, we want to talk about this book, which we'll talk about more, but that's kind of like where I'm at. I'm like Nikki and Brie right now. I'm thinking, okay, is the dad gonna eventually, be keen on letting them know the full tea and whatnot? So all in all, it was very enjoyable, and it wasn't as like anxiety ridden as I was anticipating.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I have to say this first initial meetup I felt was really awkward, which is understandable, but I'm like, why are you like calling them triplets?
Oh my
and like,
gosh.
that was so awkward. And then it was just weird that like they said, and I just was like, oh God, this is going to go. So that was the moment where I thought, oh God, this is going to go really wrong. And it didn't really, but I was like, that's such a weird thing to say of all things when you're like, meeting each other all for the first time. But I think that I think Nikki and Brie handled it pretty well with humor, but it just was awkward. And I was like, but I know that in previous episodes, we know that he has this like interesting sense of humor, the dad. So I feel like it was just part of that whole personality.
I mean, to that comment, I could not get over it the whole episode. Every time she came out, I was like,
I know.
Oh, like, how would you feel your dad dating someone only a year, apart from your age? And then
they all kind of look similar. Yeah, and they all look similar. That's weird.
They definitely have like the Latin, I don't know how you call it, the look and stuff like that. So it was definitely interesting. But I was just like, I couldn't get that comment out of my head the whole time. It was so weird. But let's go ahead and talk about, the whole situation. We have a dinner. We have them trying to bring up the book, but it didn't really work. So, Emily, were you surprised the fact that they kind of took this whole idea back, because their purpose was to go to this trip to talk about this book and bring it up, get their dad's approval, but it didn't really go that way.
Yeah, I had a feeling it wasn't going to go well, because it's like a first date. You're not going to like bring up all the topics of your life in the first date. So it has to be on like the third or fourth date. So they, and the thing is like, I don't fault their dad for just glossing over it, because they're just having a conversation. They're checking up on each other. They're sharing updates on their life. So you're like, yeah, well, we're working on a book. Oh, that's cool. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, but we're writing a chapter about our childhood, and it's going to involve you a lot. I feel like you kind of know intuitively, okay, I'm probably going to be mentioned, but I felt like I don't think it was appropriate to bring up the whole thing on this first dinner. I think they needed a little bit more time.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, because I don't know, there is one thing that bothers me about their dad is when they do talk about their childhood and their history, you kind of see brush it off really quickly, and he's more like, I am a changed man, like that's the past, kind of let's just talk about the present. But I think that's where one of the things where I have to connect with Mama Bella and be like, he doesn't really acknowledge her. The Bellas did mention that he did, but I didn't see that. So it's just more like he wants to get away from the past and just move forward. But when you're trying to rebuild a relationship and there's issues, you have to resolve those issues and talk about what went wrong in order for things to be right.
Yeah, but you also have to realize, like, looking at both of how Mama Bella and their dad deal with it, they deal with it in two different ways, the past.
Yeah.
And one is very, like, confrontational, and the other holds back. And so they're two very opposite reactions to the same thing. And
yeah,
there's no right way to do it. It's just that person's way.
Yeah, and they both, on piggybacking off of that, they just both, Mama and Daddy, they don't, father, father, they just completely different ways, but they also don't want to talk about it in general. They just don't. They want to brush it under the rug. Dad says, oh, it changed me for the better. And mama says, no, I don't want that, our broken family history to bleed into like the new family with her new husband, with Birdie and her daughters, you know, with Artem eventually. And then obviously with Daniel and Brie. So it's a lot to like process for everyone.
Totally.
Yeah. I think for me, speaking of Artem, it was cute when they were all when they initially got there and they were having, you know, just a drink and they were joking about language and who's going to learn what when they have children. And I thought it was cute how Artem was like, this isn't a joke because eventually, you know, I'm serious about this relationship and this is going to happen. And I was like, wow, points to you.
He knows what he wants. He has said it. He knows, and he is very open about it. So I can appreciate that.
Me too. I was like, all right, another gold star for you.
Leslie needs an Artem in her life.
I do. I need someone.
Let's get you an
Artem.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, we have to get back to this whole family situation on how they never met their brother. They haven't seen their sister in such a long time. So I think it was a cute little interaction. But Emily, I want to know how you felt when the dad put him aside and asked them for that favor to go to their sister's school because nobody believed that the Bellas were actually her sister.
Yeah, I thought this was really sweet, you know, because they went shopping for all those gifts and like really was thinking about, you know, really connecting with their other siblings. And so I think it's a beautiful gesture. I think, you know, because there's lots of bullying in school and there's just a lot of like kids can be mean. And so the fact that they're like, yeah, we're going to do this, I think was really sweet. And I think it helped connect with their sister a little bit more. So I appreciated there's never really like a right way to ask. And so, but I think their dad did it the right way. It was like, hey, I have a favor. And I don't think it's something that they would have said no to, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it was to benefit everyone, not only their little sister, but their dad as well. The school, even, they can take something away from this. And I thought it was just such a beautiful moment because if you do have half siblings, the last thing you want is for them to reject you, not accept you, or really consider you a part of the family. So I thought it was really cute how even Nikki said it. If anyone bullies you or tries to do anything, I'm gonna, you know, body slam them.
Yeah. I wanted to see that. I want to see poor kid go through.
Where are the
for real? They were
Tables.
definitely ladders and chairs.
And it looked like they had a food spread. They had like some punch and, you know, some fruit, food. I was like, it looked like they welcomed them.
Now she's going to be the most popular girl of that school.
I know. She's not going to be able to like handle it.
Yeah.
Right? They're all going to want to be friends with her. Fake friends.
No. For sure.
But it was sweet. It was sweet.
It was. Ollie, I want to get your opinion though. Someone wasn't really too cool about this, and that was Mama Bella. And one of the comments that I did bug me, she was like, I didn't come be a babysitter for you guys to get to know your roots.
That was the worst.
That was not the white thing to say, Mama Bella.
That was the worst. It was so insensitive.
I was like, oh my gosh.
You can't fault your kids for trying to grow and like she just said, to actually go back into the roots and kind of find a new self, like a new part of themselves with their father and kind of connect with something that they haven't ever really like truly experienced and been able to appreciate because they've been, you know, they've been in America, they've been in WWE, they've been doing all their other things. So this is like actually them growing. And I would like to think Mama Bella could kind of take notice of this and like, wow, my children are taking notice of this really horrible thing that happened to me and them. So maybe I should kind of like start my way, not like instantly. It's not going to happen overnight for sure. Absolutely. Because Mama Bella has been through her own thing with this whole broken family thing with her ex-husband. So, but hopefully like, I would like to think that she would be so like, oh, maybe I should kind of like follow suit of my kids. You know, my kids are actually teaching me something really valuable here. So I was like, damn, she must have had a really bad time with, you know, Nana and Birdie.
I think she was cooped up or something.
Seriously.
She had lots of feelings.
She
I
like
was just
this was the scene where I was so mad at her. I was like yelling at the screen because it was so uncalled for. It was super uncalled for her to be that lashing out at them for no reason. Like she knew that they must have talked and they must have decided like, hey, we're not going to bring Birdie. Can you watch her? Like it's, you know, you have to like support your kids. And this was a moment where I was not on Mama Bella's side.
Me either, especially because yes, that may not be your culture, but at least you should be proud that your daughters want to get to know where they come from a little bit more, because they've mentioned over and over again to their dad, you should have taught us Spanish, should have done this, you should have done that, where they missed out on so much that they can even help with their platform get, you know, attention of a whole other audience and all these other things. They've been on like Latina magazine before, so it's like stuff like that where the Bellas are super proud of, you know, their heritage and their culture. So I just thought it was a little rude as well. Like, okay, I get it, you're not for this whole trip or anything like that, but you don't have to be that insensitive about it.
Yeah, she was being so dismissive. Like it wasn't important.
She was using the roots basically to like bash connecting with their father, but still that's not okay. You're not going to take someone's like ethnicity and use that as like a form to like throw some shade, you know. So I was like, damn, like have some seats, get back in the car, we'll talk about this.
She needs some Bella wine. That's what she needs.
Calm down, Mama.
For real though. But speaking of getting back to the car, they did get back to the car and we went back to see Ma Bella. She did not want to hear anything about the whole situation. And again, we get just these negative comments. She's angry.
So negative.
Brie and Nikki feel like they have to defend the whole situation. You see Brie again defending herself a little bit more. But one of the things that we do see is that reunion at the end with the dinner. Ollie, I want to get your initial thoughts on this gathering and how Mama Bella wanted to make things right.
Well, it showed I was like, finally, this is what I was asking for, Mama Bella. Like, have this talk, have their little reunion moment, literally, and have dinner. I didn't see enough wine there. I don't even think there was wine.
There wasn't wine. There was water.
There wasn't any.
I
think JJ brought it up or something. But what he said and like really like spoke to me was that the mom and he said this before, but like the mom like was enough, and I think that really shows a lot in like single parenting. Like they don't get enough credit for sure. And I feel like his story, like, Mom, you were enough, and I feel like so many people can connect with that. Like it's not always about having like two parents. It's sometimes a single parent is enough. Like it doesn't it's not going to make you a bad person. It's not going to you know, affect you negatively. If anything, it's just it might be you who's going to be affected by that if you choose that for yourself, if that makes sense. But I thought he was like the star of this reunion when he told that to his mom. Like she was enough, and like she didn't fail them. Like that was the huge thing too, that I think Nikki or Brie said that, like, all in all, Mom, you are always going to come first because you were always there.
Like you're a star mom. You're a star mom. And I feel like this was so emotional, and everyone needed to. I feel like Mama Bella has felt like inadequate and not good enough for them, which is not the case. She obviously helped, you know, form these women to be who they are today. But with them wanting to reunite with their dad, it's bringing up all these insecurities that are coming out. And so that's why she is lashing out. That's why she is so frustrated and not willing to cooperate all the time. And so I get that. And so I feel like this moment was like the pinnacle of like all of her emotions, everyone else's emotions. And like, it's a good time to like come clean.
Yeah, for sure. So do you guys feel like this overall issue with Mama Bella is more of like a credit thing? Because she even mentioned the fact that the Bellas don't even give her credit in interviews. They give it more to their grandparents. So do you think that's really her problem?
I think it's a big part of it. I think there's multiple issues here, but I think getting the proper credit is a huge issue for her, and she feels like she put in a lot of work and a lot of tears, a lot of sweat, and she might not get the credit that she deserves. And so I think it's a valid point.
Ollie, I want to go to you about Nikki. she's the only one that really confessed to her mom, kind of saying there were things that you did wrong. So it's definitely interesting to see that part, and like that, wow, Nikki actually stepped up and said something not negative, but what her mom could have done. One of the things that her mom keeps saying, I think Nikki kind of brought it up as well. It was more like, you should have left earlier. You should have left sooner. You can't change the past. Only Mama Bella knows what situation she is. Maybe in the book we can get a little bit more insight on really the detail of the household and everything like that. But Ollie, I want to know your opinion on what Nikki said about her trust issues in relationships and how that connects to her childhood.
Yeah, I just feel like maybe the reason why, she doesn't give the mom number one credit, because she clearly obviously doesn't want to follow suit of her mom's actions by any means. Granted, it wasn't always the mom's fault, but also like with her grandparents, maybe like she always gives them credit because in a sense, like your grandparents, for the most part, I don't know, like a general term is like their grandparents like can do no wrong. They're always like the golden standard. I don't know, for most people, I can't really relate, but from like people perspectives that I grew up listening, what blah 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 blah. But yeah, I think it is really hard with Nikki because she is kind of finding herself maybe going through similar situations. Well, maybe with John, not John wasn't like abusive like her father, but like that is a lot. And I think Nikki was even like molested. She opened up about that on Chasing Glory with Lillian Garcia in the past. So there is a lot that happened to Nikki. And so I get maybe some of the frustrations that she might be feeling, because her and Brie are completely different at the end of the day. Maybe Brie doesn't think that way, but maybe Nikki does because of certain things that happened to her.
Yeah. I was surprised because in this episode, Brie was so open in confronting her mom and just really being vocal and open about everything. But then she was somewhat more quiet in this last scene, and Nikki finally could get everything off her chest. I mean, I don't think it's everything, but I think in this moment, I think it was enough to kind of clear the air a little bit. And I was so proud of her that she actually did this. And it's so emotional to talk about these things that happened in the past and to tell your parents how you feel, because even no matter how old you are, your parents are still your parents, and you still feel like a kid even though you're an adult, and you still get so like emotional when you're like trying to bring up these things. So I was super proud that she finally vocalized these feelings that she was having.
Yeah, and if she can do that, maybe Mama Bella could open up more too.
Yeah, and then maybe she'll be able to move. Maybe, and I feel like Artem has a big part of this, because I feel like she's more open now with Artem by her side, and so this is a point where she, like, I feel like we might not have seen this, but maybe Artem helped her get to this point where she could talk about it.
For sure. I definitely agree with you. We ended on a good note. Everyone was happy. Everyone said what they had to say. And we ended up on a positive note with Mama Bella. Like she said, it's always going to be the four of them, just the four of them, no matter what. And I love that part because, again, Ollie, you mentioned something really important. One mom is enough for them, especially. She did everything she could and she raised them right, and look at where they're at now. They're all super successful and doing big things. So props to Mama Bella, because being a single mom is not easy. I know that from my childhood, my experience. So props to all the single mamas out there, because it's hard.
Totally.
But now with that note, this was a great episode. Ups and downs. It's like a roller coaster. But let's go ahead. Let's just do a quick match real quick. Emily, give us your special segment.
Yeah, so quickly, again, the match of this episode really was kind of Mama Bella against the twins again. I would say I'm gonna say it's both of they're tied. They're all tied right now, because I feel like both had valid emotional stakes in the situations that were in this episode. They both I feel like they had moments of like not being open and then opening back up. So I feel like they both are all three of them are in a good place at the end of this episode. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna say they're all no winners. DQ. No DQ. Yeah, they're all winners. They all stepped up their game, and they're just living life, trying to figure things out.
Yeah, so everyone make sure to tune in next week. We have another match of the week, the Bella Twins versus who knows, because next
Who
week there's going to be a
knows?
lot of fights. We see,
Who
it's going
knows?
to be bad. Ollie, your predictions real quick.
Oh my gosh. I think that there are going to be fights, and Nikki and JJ are going to get into it. It's going to be I'm predicting that's Emily's match next week, and I'm
there
excited
you go.
for it.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
Me too. That's pretty much the highlight of next episode. We're going to see a feud between JJ and Nikki, a little bit of jealousy, I think, with the children, nieces. And so make sure you guys stay tuned next week, same time, 7 p.m. But before we go, Emily, let the people know where they can find you.
Awesome. You can find me on all social media platforms at Emily Mae Heller.
Ollie?
Yeah, sorry. And I'm Ollie. Sorry. And I'm Ollie Drennan. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Ollie Dreamer.
And I am Leslie Colon, and you can follow me at Leslie Colon _, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.